Better than nothing. Those who wait to be freed do not deserve freedom. Onwards, brothers and sisters! This rebellion just got wings. Time to watch it burn.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Sylas today. A really fun champion and also versatile because of his ability to steal away ultimates. On Sylas you can start Q or E level 1. It really depends on the matchup, so if you're in a matchup where you cannot walk up at all at level 1, then you want to start with your Q because it allows you to stay back and farm up safely. But if you are in a heavy skill shot matchup, then E start is also good. It actually also allows you to trade early on, so it's also really good against melee champions. So the first part of your E is a dash, and then the second part is a hook, where the target that gets hit will make it so you dash to them. So that's like your gap closer. And your passive, so every single time you use an ability, then your next auto attack becomes empowered, so it deals AoE damage around you, but do keep in mind that the main target will be the one that receives most amount of damage. The secondary targets will not receive that much damage. The damage is going to be much less compared to the main target. And your Q, as you can see, is the ranged damage. That deals damage twice, but the second part of the Q is where most of your damage is at, so when you try to poke enemy champions, then really try to make sure that you hit them with the detonation damage. I actually tried to go for the all-in here, but I miscalculated the range, my gap closing range, so she ended up getting away, but we did get the kill back. So Sylas, really strong at level 3 guys when you have all of your basic abilities. Your W is also a dash, but it's like a point and click dash that also heals you based on the missing health. And this is also the ability that you want to be maxing out most of the time. Q max is also possible, but W max makes you such a strong fighter, like in a 1 versus 1, because you have so much sustain, and it's also point and click guys. The thing is, your E, like the hook on your E, can be pretty difficult to hit, so what you want to do is that you use the first part of your E, the dash, and then you W, because it's a point and click spell, and then you use the second part of your E with the hook. Like that makes it way easier to hit, and that's also like your most OP combo in the laning phase. Like a lot of people like to save the W onto the low HP. Do not do that in the laning phase guys, you want to use it early on. You want to combine it with your E because that gives you a guaranteed hook. And that also allows you to get a lot of passive stacks off. So your passive, the empowered auto attack part, can be stacked up. So you don't have to auto attack after every single time you use an ability. You can also save it up and then auto attack at the end. Really depends on the case, but just keep in mind that it can be stacked up. So this champion guys, actually I think it is one of the absolute best champions that you can master in the mid lane. He's mostly used as a counter pick because of his ultimate. It's a champion that used as a counter pick into entire enemy team compositions. And you really need to play around those cooldowns. What's really important is that your W, because that's like the main ability before your ultimate. This is the one that really allows you to trade much better. So when your W is on cooldown, you want to back off and wait for it to come back, and then you can re-engage. And you can see the damage is absolutely insane. Like if you manage to gap close onto a mage, you're going to destroy them most of the time. Sylas is like one of the few AP bruisers that we have, but also the most fun one to play in my opinion. Like this is a champion I really like to use a lot myself in high elo, because he's so good once you master him. Like he's so versatile as well, and every single game is going to be different depending on the ultimates that the enemies have. So we got that ultimate right now, so you can steal away an ultimate from the enemy champion. After you do so, it's going to be put on cooldown. You can see that little circle below the enemy champion displaying the cooldown. It's going to be on a higher cooldown compared to normal. But this is stuff that you can affect with ability haste. As you get more ability haste, all of these cooldowns are going to be lower, so late game Sylas is absolutely insane. Just keep in mind that after you steal an ultimate for somebody, if I for example took away the Lux ultimate, then it is going to go on a higher cooldown, just to prevent you like perma using it at the same time like Lux is able to, because that would be OP. But that's like stuff you can almost do in the late game as you get more ability haste. And don't just randomly take away ultimates. Take them away when you think that you can actually use them. Because if it goes on cooldown, then your own ultimate ability of course will also be on cooldown, and then there will be a while before you can actually take away ultimates again. So only take an ultimate when you know that you can use it. Maybe you can use it in the mid lane, or maybe you can like show out the mid lane and then you could roam to the side lanes and then use it, I don't know, but just make sure that you can actually use it when you take it. So as you can tell, ability haste is a very important stat on Sylas, so that's why you'll be spamming those, spam purchasing those items that gives us a lot of ability haste. Cosmic Drive is really important. You don't have to get it like right after Sonya's Hourglass. It's of course great if you can, but you can also delay it. Just remember the OP combo is that when you go for that trade, guys, when you want to go in, remember the combo is that you E in, first part of your E, then you W to the enemy champion because it's a point and click dash, and then E2, the second part of your E with a hook. Because that's what makes it really OP. What makes them really strong in the lane phase actually is that there's such low counterplay to this playstyle. So it is a champion that can do well in those 1 vs 2s, 1 vs 3s and so on. But that really depends on your mechanics and your knowledge as well. So you probably wondered why I did not use the Kindred ultimate. The thing is, if I was able to get my W off, then I would have gotten the Lux and the Rakan as well. But the problem here is that Lux's Q is a root, so you're still able to use abilities. But you're not able to use any movement abilities. And since your W is a dash as well, I was not able to use it. I kind of forgot it right there, so I ended up dying for no reason. So I could have used the Kindred's ultimate. That would have allowed me to survive. But if I was able to get that W off, then I would have gotten the kill without having to use the ultimate. So I greeded a bit right there and also got punished for it. But it is a champion that you can really go ham on. Like Sylas is so fun to play. Like I use him a lot myself as well. Like he's so fun to play because every game is going to be different. There are always going to be different ultimates that you can use. So compared to most other champions, for you every game is a new one. With the amount of ultimates that you can steal. But it's even more fun. Like some ultimates are even more fun to use than others. For example, if there's a Cho'Gath in the enemy team. Because when you take away a Cho'Gath's ultimate, you also get the passive where he gets like permanent HP. So you can like permanently stack up Cho'Gath's ultimate for yourself as well. So Sylas is a massive counter to Cho'Gath and also something like a Malphite. So if you see like a Cho'Gath and Malphite pick, then you can definitely use Sylas as a counter pick. This is a champion that you use as a counter pick most of the time. But when they have some really good ultimates. Because if they only have, you know, useless ultimates, then Sylas will not be as impactful. For example, Darius' ultimate is absolutely useless. You're not going to deal any damage with it because you cannot stack up the bleed stuff. So if you play against Darius and similar champions where your ultimate is not that useful, then avoid picking Sylas. But you can play really aggressive in the laning phase on this champion. You need a lot of knowledge on how the different ultimates work, because that is what Sylas is known for, stealing away ultimates and using it against the enemy team. So I have to know what your different ultimates do. So there's a lot of like matchup knowledge, but also mechanics, because this champion does reward you for the mechanics. You see, I really like to go ham, even though I sometimes end up dying for it. I really do limit test a lot. I do this all the time on every single champion I play, because this really helps me understand exactly what my champion is capable of, and also like get to know the limits, learn what I can do and what I cannot do. So definitely try to limit test a lot, just not in ranked. Like if you don't first time a champion in ranked, but like once you understand the basics and stuff, then you can really start limit testing. But I like to play really aggressive, and that's also how you improve, guys, because you get to understand exactly what you can get away with and what you can't. And Sylas is like one of the perfect champions for that, because he does have a really aggressive kit for the laning phase. Like, it is a champion that constantly seeks the fights. Like, it is not a AFK farming champ. You really want to look for those kills. You really want to look for those 1 versus 1s, 1 versus 2s, and so on. So Everfrost is a really important item on Sylas. You don't have to buy it every single game, but you can already see how useful it is. So you can hit them with a root in the center, or you can get the slow. It doesn't matter which one, because it's going to make it a lot easier for you to hit your own hook on that E. So it's like perma CC, like chain CC, that just makes it even harder for people to dodge your stuff, and also even harder for them to like escape. So Everfrost is the best mythic item on Sylas, but of course you do have a couple options. That you can go for a full burst Sylas for like Electrocute, Luminous Tempest, Shock Shoes, or you can also go for like anti-burst with the crown. But most of the time you should be going for the Everfrost, because that just makes everything a lot easier. And your E can of course be used to hop over small walls with, guys. So do remember that. It is pretty short range though, so you might mess it up sometimes, like the Raptor camp and such, but just make sure that you stay as close as possible to the wall before you jump. Now we got the Sonya's Hourglass, so this is another core item, and that is because you are a melee champ. That means that you'll be in the center of the fight, so you'll be at a big risk and you'll be taking damage from everybody. So that Sonya's Hourglass can like help you survive after you used everything, and then also help you stall until your abilities are ready again. So the tower is down, you can just keep pushing and then you can look for roams. This is like the mid game stage, and what you do entirely depends on the team composition. Normally you want to go to the side lane, especially if you are able to win in a 1 versus 1 or 1 versus 2. It is a bit more risky with the Ignite though. I really like to use Ignite on Sylas because you can pick up a lot of kills in the mid lane. People don't respect your damage. So it really helps a lot with the snowballing, but if you are teleport, then your split pushing is a lot better. We just want to keep shoving the mid lane if you're not able to find any kills, and then you just roam over and over. As soon as you finish your Everfrost, then your roams also become a lot better, because you have that extra CC, so definitely try to roam a lot. Especially if you're not able to find any kills in the mid lane. Like, it's not every single game where you'll be able to snowball off the enemy mid laner. In that case, you have to roam a lot. This is a champion that spikes really hard in the mid game. Like as soon as you finish like 2 or 3 items, he becomes insanely strong. And when you have the cosmic drive that gives you so much ability haste, he's even stronger. Like you're gonna have almost no cooldown on your abilities, especially that W, so you can like perma heal. So healing is a big part of Sylas' kit, so when people start building anti-healing, it is going to be a bit more rough, like it's going to be a lot more difficult. But luckily people don't always do that. Especially not if you are the only healer on the team. Like if you have multiple healers, then they will definitely be trying to get that item as soon as possible. But if they don't, then of course it's really good for you. And as you can see, Sylas is very strong in those fights, guys. Especially in those extended fights where you can get a fully stacked Conqueror and just spam that W for healing over and over. This is the E1 into W combo. There's no counterplay to this because W is a point and click gap closer, so that's why you want to use it right after your first part of E and then finish up with the second part of E. But if you master this champion, you will be able to pull off stuff like this, guys. Because Sylas is a champion with a lot of outplay potential. This is a champion that really allows you to go for those 1 versus 1s, like really carry 1 versus 5. So it's a bit awkward base right here. So I have fully stacked Dark Seal, but I was also able to buy Cosmic Drive because I had so much gold. So of course I went for the Cosmic Drive instead. But you can also get the Mid-Ice, just make sure that you don't get it too late in the game because then it won't be as effective. And when you do get it, it's also high risk, high reward because you're going to lose a lot of stacks if you die. So if you're like a Giga limit tester like I am, then it might not be the best thing to buy it every single game. Because you might end up dying a lot. But at the same time, it can also teach you to like play safe when you have a lead. Because you get like punished so hard for it whenever you die, so when you have the Meta Soul Stealer, it might actually teach you to play a lot more safe, a lot smarter as well, and force you to make much better decisions. So that item can actually also be good just for like helping you improve. So when you're fed like this, you have your items, then of course you can take down the jungle camps really fast. But like in the early game, Sylas does struggle with the jungle camps. Like when you want to farm them as a mid laner after you shove the wave, because your passive that deals AoE damage, it is only the main target that takes most amount of damage. The secondary targets take a lot less damage, so the small raptors and such won't be they're still gonna be a lot healthy unless you're super fed and have a lot of AP items, so it's going to take you a while before you're able to clear out the camps. So in team fights, you want to like look for the really good team fighting ultimates. In this case they have a Jarvan, J4, they have a Rakan as well. Like those are really good guys. Those are the ones that you really want to look for in team fights. Also the Kindred ultimate, because they can really turn the fights around. But this is the stuff that Sylas is able to pull off, guys. You really have to understand how he works and how he wants to fight. And it all changes depending on the ultimates that you can steal. If you have a Malphite ultimate, you can be the one engaging for the team. But if you have like a Lulu ultimate or a Janna ultimate, then you can also be the one peeling your carries. So your playstyle can completely change depending on the ultimates that you're able to get. Now we have enough gold to just get a death cap, so of course we're just gonna go for that. Instead of getting the Magi's, like, this is so much stronger and it's also zero risk. Like, if we get the Magi's right now and we end up dying, it's gonna be such a bad purchase. Magi's is something I usually like to buy after I finish my mythic item, and then after I get the boots, then it's alright to buy, guys. Right now it's kind of too late because you might as well just get your core items instead. Like, that's going to help you out a lot more. But you can see champions do struggle fight against Sylas. Like, he's so strong in 1 versus 1s. He's not a hyper carry by any means, but he can really destroy a lot of champions in 1 versus 1s. Just be careful of champs like the Tryndamere. Those are some of the super difficult matchups because they're just gonna run you down. Hyper carries, you know, Yasuo, Yone. Yone laning phase is pretty easy, but it's going to get a lot more difficult later on, especially if they get MR. Do make sure that you spend some time in the side lane as well. So Sylas, I'm gonna be honest, this is not a champion where you consistently get high CS numbers. That is just not going to happen every single game compared to mages like a Victor. Because you play for kills, you play to skill up, you play for kills, you play really aggressive. So you won't have the highest CS numbers every single game, so that's why I really try to focus on getting a lot of kills. Focus on trying to play aggressive in the laning phase so really learn his total damage output. Like the highest ranked Sylas players, the average CS for them is like 5 to 6 CS per minute. So that's not very high. Normally as a mid laner you go for the 7, 8, 9, 10 CS per minute. That's stuff that you do on mages because they have really good wave clear and really fast wave clear as well. But you can still, like, there will still be some games where you can get high CS on Sylas, but it's not going to be every single game. Remember, when you push for objectives, that's another important thing, is that your passive also gives you increased attack speed with the extra damage. So you really want to abuse that on the objectives, especially the towers. So like use a lot of your basic abilities, like your E, both parts of your E, your Q as well, just so you can push down faster. Be careful not using your E if you're about to get ganked or something, because then you don't have any mobility left. So now we have the Kindred ultimate once again. This is something that you can use to save your teammates with, but it can also save the enemies, so be careful with how you use it. But like, if they have some really good teamfighting ultimates, then Sylas is going to be so much better in teamfights. Like this late in the game, guys, when you have your ability haste items, your own ultimate is going to be on such a low cooldown. So in extended fights, you might even be able to get 2 ultimates off. But this is a champion that really wants to play aggressive. You get rewarded for really aggressive play, guys. Really learned his limits. Try to constantly go for fights and understand what he's capable of. But this was how to play Sylas, guys. I hope this was helpful. As always, thanks for watching and see you all in the next one.